Transport is essential in daily life, even more so when travelling to a different country. Lucky for us, transport in Paris is not so different to what we have here in Brisbane. They have trains and buses, just more French.
The most popular form of public transport is the metro. This is a train system that covers all of Paris. Before I tell you how to use the metro, however, I'll give you a little bit of history. The first of the metro system was opened on the 4th of July 1900 for the Summer Olympic Games of that year. The original plan comprised of a circular line running through 2 stations and 2 transversal lines running north-south and east-west respectively. As it was being built, 2 management companies, the Nord-Sud and Paris Metropolitan Railway Company, CMP for short, came into being, each with their own style for the stations. In 1899, CMP launched a competition for the street architecture of the soon-to-be-open metro. Due to backlash that the recently built Eiffel Tower received for looking too industrial, the CMP were keen to avoid angering Parisians with yet another large industrial-looking project. As Charles Garnier, architect of the Paris Opera, declared, "The Metropolitan Railroad, in the eyes of most Parisians, will only be excused if it rejects absolutely all industrial character, so as to be completely a work of art. Paris must not be made into a factory, it must stay a museum." Once the competition was over, the companies still couldn't decide who they liked best, though they eventually settled on Hector Guimard, an architect who had studied Art Nouveau, a form of design inspired by natural forms and structures. 141 entrances designed by Hector were then constructed between 1900 and 1912, of which 86 still exist. They are easily identifiable, with classic cast-iron vine-like arches and ornate lampposts made to look like plant stems. In comparison, the Nord-Sud created signposts rather than archways, which became increasingly popular in the 1920s. They made 2 different styles, one with a globe-shaped lamp above a metro sign surrounded by ornate cast iron, and a similar version, which was simple, without the iron embellishments. As the railway grew, both companies ended up merging into one after the First World War, and have been changing and updating the metro system ever since. And now that you know all that, I'll explain how the modern system works. There are 2 main types of metro, the standard city metro and the RER, which is a specialised express railway system that runs to popular destinations such as the airport, Disneyland and Versailles. There are only 5 RER lines, and they each require a special ticket to board them. These tickets, as well as normal metro tickets, can be bought at metro stations via ticket machines and offices. Buying in groups is possible and is much cheaper to do so. A single tickets are €190 each, and groups of 10 are €1450, so it'll save you $450. Maps of the metro and RER lines can be bought within the stations and can also be found on the walls of both the platforms and the trains. Each line is a different colour for clarity, and use dots in the lines to show the stations at which the train will be stopping. The white coloured dots are the stations at which you can transfer to another line. Inside the trains, there are even electronic maps that flash at each stop to indicate the station you are at. Metro trains are labelled by their last stop, just like Brisbane's train system, and, just like in Brisbane, you have to make sure you are on the right side of the tracks before you board. If you enter on the wrong side, you may have to pay again to get onto the other side, so make sure you're right the first time. There are plenty of signs to direct you, so pay attention to them, and if you're still unsure, simply ask at the information desk for help. Train frequency depends on the time of day, though at peak hours they run every 2 minutes. The metro runs from 6 AM to 12:45 AM, though on Friday and Saturday it runs for an hour longer. If the metro isn't running for some reason, there are always the buses. Buses in Paris are available all throughout the day from 7 AM to 8:30 PM, with some running to 12:30. On Sundays and public holidays, however, only about half the buses operate, so be aware of what day it is when travelling. For night travel, there are 47 night buses that run all around Paris from 12:30 AM to 5:30 AM. In total, there are 64 bus lines that run alongside and complement the metro network during the day, one of which is the notable Big Bus line, which visits all the popular sites in Paris. The line number and direction of travel are indicated on the front and side of all the buses, just like here in Brisbane. When catching the bus, always get on at the front and off in the middle. Tickets can be bought at metro stations as well as on the actual buses, however it is a little bit cheaper to buy from the station. You may also use the travel pass if it covers the zones concerned.
So, now that you know how to get places, it's time to learn how and where to eat, explore and socialise.